Welcome to the Kingdom Man Podcast, where we discuss some of the hard topics facing men with a Christian perspective. I'm your host, James Russell. Happy to be back with you. Guys, I want to jump into today's topic straight away. Let's get into it. And I want to talk on the topic of mentoring. That may not seem like a glamorous thing to talk about, but it's something that we desperately need in today's society. We have an ever-increasing population that just tends to want to be by themselves, but at the same time, they want to be famous. Everyone wants to be famous. We want to be alone, but we want to be engaged. So what happens is a lot of people spend time at home on their phone, and that's how we're engaging with the world around us. Now, with every generation, there comes an issue where we have to learn to adapt and make sure that things are moving forward in a good direction. But what I have seen is that the mentoring side of the world has not yet adapted to people who like to stay at home alone. But before we go deeper into what I see as a problem, let's go ahead and dig into what is mentoring. And without having a dictionary in front of me, I want to give and just kind of shoot from the heart today. And what I remember a minister saying probably 8+ years ago was that mentoring is simply men touring your life. It's simply allowing people to come in and see what your life's about, sharing a part of you with them. Mentoring. There are still some of the legacy organizations like Big Brother, Big Sister who are out there doing the deed. And good for them. But for a vast majority of us, here's the question. I always like to pose a question, so here's your question for today is, who's mentoring you? Where are you getting the information about how to be a better man? And if I were to ask most men on the street this question, I imagine the answer is going to be, because we don't really do that anymore. So let me take you back to the beginning of this year when I was setting up some goals for myself and things that I want to accomplish this year. And one of the things that I wanted to accomplish is to get my motorcycle up and running. And that's something that was just beyond my skill set. Now, I've mentioned this in the past, but if you haven't heard it, I'll catch you up. So what I've realized is that I need someone who is capable of doing this to help. Now, there's multiple ways that I could do that. I could just send my motorcycle to a shop, have them fix everything, and then they send me a bill. That's one way to get the goal accomplished. I'm not opposed to that. But one of the things I wanted to do was not just have my bike run. I want to learn how the motorcycle really works. So as is the usual, there will likely be a time that I get stuck on the side of the road, and if I know what the problem is, there might be a solution that I can fix right then and there, as opposed to having to call a tow truck or something to come pick me up. So what I wanted to do was not just have the bike fixed. I wanted to learn how to fix the bike. So what I realized is that there are a lot of people around me that have the tools and the skills. So what I need to do is go and be mentored by them. So I asked a friend, and he came over towards the beginning of the year, looked at the bike, and I told him, hey, I know it's in rough shape. This is not going to be an over the weekend kind of project. This is going to be something that I need to take all year to do. And we started working on it on and off on our weekends when we had the opportunity. And there were some months where we didn't get any weekends that month, and there were a couple where back-to-back we got some weekends put together. But I'm happy to say that as of 2 weeks ago, we got the motorcycle running. So well, in fact, that I was able to ride it around the cul-de-sac a couple times, put it in gear, make sure it moves under its own power. More importantly, that it stops under its own power. Everything was kind of ticking the box. There are still a few things, obviously, that needs to be buttoned up. So it's not an operable street legal motorcycle yet, but it runs. And that was my main deal. And it never would have happened had I not reached out and acknowledged first to myself that I don't know how to do this, but I know people who do, and I will work with them, however, to see if we can accomplish this goal. And we did. That is mentoring. Now, if you were to ask him if he's my mentor, he would not say yes. That's not what we would classically define as mentoring, but that's exactly what it is. He showed me a part of his world that he understands and has the skills and tools and the abilities to do those things that I did not. And has given me a whole lot of more confidence in those arenas now because of that. That is mentoring. And one of the best ways to be mentored is face to face. You cannot beat hand to hand, eye to eye. There's just no supplement for that. If you really want to glean the most amount of information, the most amount of character or whatever you're wanting from that relationship, it's going to be spending time with each other. That transfer can only happen with time. But you may be saying to yourself, look, I don't have free weekends. I don't have a whole lot of time. How can I be mentored? Well, with today's society, it's so much easier to be mentored at home on your time. And one of the best ways that jumps to my mind is YouTube. If you want to know how to do something that you previously did not know how to do, YouTube is a good place for that. You can learn almost anything on YouTube. Now, that does not make you a pro. Be careful. I shouldn't have to make these disclaimers, but be careful. But if you really want to learn something that you didn't know before, that's a good place for it. And it's also something that we wouldn't classically define as mentoring. But that person uploaded their video giving you an access to a portion of their skills, of their knowledge base to make your life better. To me, that sounds like mentoring. So if we are going by that definition, that you can watch a YouTube video and be mentored, then I would say I've got several mentors. In addition to the man who actually I was working with side by side on the motorcycle, there are men on YouTube who teach me things that I didn't otherwise know. Now, obviously, I don't know that person, and he doesn't know me. We don't have a formal relationship of any type other than I subscribe to his channel. So I don't know exactly all the details about this man. All I know is what he presents to me. And it's easy to present something that's good all the time when you have the ability to edit what's not. So I will readily admit that I don't know that person, but what they have submitted and what they put out, that's the kind of man I want to emulate. I don't know what his relationship with his wife is really like, but the one I'm seeing through this medium of internet videos, it's something that I think is worth pursuing. So in the classical definition, does it meet that standard? Probably not, but in the real life application, I've got several mentors. And if you think through that kind of lens, how many mentors do you have? Probably more than you originally thought. But the next question, and more important question in this community, is who are you mentoring? If you're a father, then you have built-in mentorship. They get to see your life in the good and the bad. There's no editing out the unpretty parts. But even though they see and learn so much from you as their father, there's still going to be things that they just will not learn from you because you're too familiar. You're dad. So one of the great things that you can do for your children is to find other men who have great examples in their own lives about how to be a man and how to hunt, how to fish, for things that maybe you just don't do, and get your children involved with those men and let them be mentored. And even though that guy may say the exact same thing that you said, there's something about it that children will listen. I say children. People will tend to listen to the exact same words of advice from someone else that they've heard their parents say, but they just don't really listen. But when someone else says it, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And that's okay. You have had more of an effect than anyone else will ever have on them. But also give them the opportunity, build it into a part of your life to make sure that they are being exposed to other great men and women who may say the same things that you say, but it sounds a whole lot cooler when they say it. But allow your children to learn those lessons through other examples. You're going to have to put aside your ego, because there's going to be other men who do things better than you, and it may hurt, feel really bad when your child comes home and talks about how cool this guy is, and they don't talk about how cool you are. And it may hurt your feelings for a little while, but think beyond your feelings and realize that you are helping establish a stronger, healthier individual, because you don't have to be the end-all, be-all. Teach them to be mentored at an early age. Mentor them by allowing other people to mentor them. That is a great opportunity for you. But find someone to mentor. If you don't have children, find someone to mentor. God's given you so many gifts, talents, and abilities. Don't just sit there holding on to it, trying to build your empire when there's no one to hand it off to. The best thing that you can do is share. Make the world a better place instead of just, your kingdom. Make the kingdom a better place. Be a kingdom man and not a man of your own kingdom. So that's my random thoughts, my rant, if you will, for you today on what being a mentor and allowing yourself to be mentored, and how great that is for our development in every aspect of our lives. So guys, go find someone who's better than you and let them teach you. And then find someone else that you can pass on all your life lessons to. That's what a kingdom man would do. That's what we need to do. Guys, thanks again for listening to the Kingdom Man podcast as we celebrate this 1 year of putting out episodes and in our attempt to make men better men and kingdom men. We just want to remind you that one of the best ways for you to help the Kingdom Man podcast grow is by sharing. We don't have sponsors. We don't have Patreons. We don't have ways for you to invest financially into this group, because one of the things that we really want to do is not make money. We want to see men become better men. And the best way that you can help us reach that goal is by sharing it with your friends and family. And that's it. It's simple as that. And the more that you can do that, ultimately, the more men we can affect for the kingdom of God. And it just starts with one person like you sharing the word. So thank you guys so much. And we look forward to seeing you next week.